When your old career gives you lemons, throw in some ice, mix in some vodka, and call it a podcast. From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport, and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for getting your pot on. Thank you for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. Hopefully we add a little value to your day. It's Danny and me today. Thanksgiving, coming off the Thanksgiving break. I used to love Thanksgiving as a holiday because every family member was around and there was no pressures of gifts or anything. But I guess as a kid,
you do what you do naturally, which is sit around and eat.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, I think I overate to the point of like excessive. I stepped on a scale and I wish I didn't after that. I wish I didn't. But I got to tell you, like something happens when I'm over, I have an extended time off or an extended time where I'm with families. I get so exhausted. Like my body starts to really rest. So yesterday we're driving back and we left it, like 2:00 in the afternoon. We're coming back here. And I get so, I could feel myself getting tired. We stop, we fill up with gas. I get a Red Bull, a Diet Coke, M&Ms.
Okay.
I have all that. And I'm not even an hour into the trip.
You
And
crashed.
What happened?
Sugar. Like that's like the worst. Like I've seen people drink Monster
Red Bull's
Energy
the
drinks. You can't drink. Yeah, you can't do that.
Wait. So this is
Monster Energy drink. That's a ton of sugar.
I'm going to bring this to Danny because
Yeah.
I only because you
Sammy.
No.
I'll tell you what happened.
because you watch all this stuff. So Danny, I am like clinging to the wheel and I'm trying to like keep my eye. And Jameson looks over and he goes, "You all right?" And I said, "I think we got to pull off." So I pull off.
Did you do jumping jacks?
No, and I found a grocery store and I went in and I bought sweet potato chips.
Okay.
Because I wanted something of a little more healthy than I've been eating. Like I ate a ton of shit.
Organic junk food.
Yeah. And so exactly.
That's what it is.
I mean, but sweet potatoes, I figured a little bit better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got a Starbucks black coffee in a can, like the nitro brewed coffee.
Yeah, the Ultimate Warrior coffee.
And I had that and I felt fine.
Okay.
But the oxygen, but I got to tell you, I was going hard. I was down fast.
Yeah, the sugar. I don't know about the caffeine. The caffeine won't make you crash. It'll get you awake, but the sugar will make you crash. That was way too much sugar.
Plus the M&Ms.
Yes.
Plus the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
The Diet Coke shouldn't have sugar in it.
But the other
there's
stuff.
some other shit.
Yeah, but like you forget the Diet Coke for a second. The other stuff, the Monster Energy or the Red Bull. Yeah.
Is that look? I normally stay away from all that stuff, but in severe dire moments, and I bought another one. I didn't open it. I'm not a big fan of the energy drinks.
Energy drinks are not good for you. Period.
Yeah.
Period. They're not good for you. If you ever want to like really get like a hydration drink, take a Noon tablet. They look like Smarties, but they're not. And like NUUN.
Yeah,
and they're hydration. You put it in the water, and it's like drinking 2 glasses of water for the price of 1.
Okay,
and it really like it hydrates your all your cells and everything else. It's a more of a
Is this all from watching YouTube?
No, this is like our friend our friend Shorsha's wife, Tennille, the acupuncturist, told me because he used to drink a lot of energy drinks, and she told him, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Drink the Noons instead because the energy will last longer. It's not a quick fix, but it'll stay hydrated and more alert. Like you still need your regular sleep. It's not a cure for anything.
No.
But it's healthier drinking that. If you're gonna sip on something all day, sip on those. And like, because it's like flavoring your water. It's enjoyable to drink. It's not just like, because people get sick, and I don't blame them for drinking water all day because it sucks. It's bland. It's just you're drinking water for the sake of drinking water to stay hydrated. But your body's going to tell you when you need it or not. So if you drink more Noon, you're going to drink less water throughout the day because you're going to need less water throughout the day. But you're still going to be alert.
So Noon, I'm familiar with, but anyway.
It's not. But I don't think you're going to find Noon at rest stops, right? It's something you find at like Wegmans.
You'll find it at Wegmans. You'll find
in
it
the
at
health
Tops
section
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're not gonna go to the Apple Green store on the Thruway. Okay, Monster Energy, Red Bull.
I stopped.
Noon. Which one of these things is not like the other?
I stopped at the dollar store.
Did you?
Then there's another grocery store called Hannaford. I don't think we have it up here, but
I used to bottle it when I worked at Red Wing back in 1999. Hannaford's salad dressing.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Hannaford's a grocery store, and I don't know where they are exactly in the state, but so we stopped one in Albany, and that's where. And I could have gotten Noon there, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I always hate grocery stores because I always feel like they're laid out horribly.
Oh yeah,
I really do. I feel like other than Wegmans, it makes no fucking sense to me sometimes. Like I'm going. I think the other day I was looking for something and James is like, oh, it was all the way back on the other side. I go, well, that makes no sense. Everything else is over here.
Right.
All the water is here.
Because the idea is to make you buy more. Oh, an impulse buy.
Yeah.
Between aisle 4 and aisle 17, hey, there's 11 other aisles. Hey, we can use these Newman cookies because they're healthier. Yeah, they're made organically.
Right.
It's still organic junk food. Yeah, but you know what? No, I deserve this. Right. That's why they do it. Okay.
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to ours sometimes back to just
play it back for hidden messages.
Well, just that sort of thing. And but I don't really know many podcasts, which is probably not a smart thing. So I decided
I would say that.
I thought, let me see what other podcasts are like.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Mel Robbins. Are you familiar with Mel Robbins?
Is this a woman?
It is a woman.
She's not from The View, right?
She is not.
Is she a black woman?
No, she is not.
Okay.
She's a white blonde lady.
Okay.
She's furthest thing from black. She's photo negative of black.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? So but I'm listening and I go, this woman, and she's an entrepreneur and she's written books and she's done things. She's very motivational. Mm-hmm. She speaks at different things and I had been familiar with her, and other people have said to me, have you ever listened? Have you ever listened? So I thought, let me listen to Mel Robbins. So I listened, Jameson, and we're driving back. Once I kind of snapped to, Jameson has his earbuds in, and I'm listening to the Mel Robbins podcast. And I'm going, this woman I'm like, I could see her on TV. She's, it's not unattractive at all. Mm-hmm. She's like Oprah in that she's really giving people value, and she's speaking to, and I've done media for a long time, radio. And I think that pretty much everything in radio, I think it's fair to say, was successful, right?
Yes.
It was successful.
Mm-hmm.
So, but podcast is a different animal. And I'm learning that, and we're coming up on the 2nd anniversary.
Yeah, I know, right?
And so
you get the t-shirts.
I got nothing. So I'm looking at this and I go, so I'm listening, and what she's doing is she's talking to somebody about who's a scientist who runs a lab, and he's talking about different ways to like improve your life.
Andrew Huberman was
no,
okay, because he runs a lab. Go ahead.
Dealing with ADHD and how you can sometimes distract yourself and, pinch off thoughts and this and that. And it was all things like I've even said here,
mm-hmm.
just said in a different way, but it was all kind of focused in one thing. But as Jameson said it to me, he goes, you guys cover a lot of topics. And I go, well, yes.
Yeah.
So then I'm listening to another one. And this one was about decluttering. And she had a person on, and the only reason I remember the name is because it's Dana White, but it's not Dana White, the UFC fighter. It's Dana K. White, a woman, and she wrote a book on decluttering. Okay. Now, you can imagine, as I'm listening to this, I'm in my head, as the age I am, in my early 50s, I'm going, with now my 14-year-old son living with me in,
James,
I'll call it
James, get the stuff out of here. We're going to pay attention to this.
cramped quarters. The decluttering, and it was interesting to me. Okay. Jameson's earbuds lose their charge. So now he
has to listen.
So now he has to listen. And he says, so in there, and the woman's going on about how she said, I used to think, the woman who wrote the book, I used to think that I had to get a bigger house because
of all the stuff.
Because of all the stuff. And she's like, there's a difference between organizing and decluttering. When you organize, you buy more stuff to organize. When you declutter,
My
you're
wife.
just getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
She goes, so I had a friend who, and she's like, like you get a container. Well, you have to think about contain. Container is contain. Okay. Now I got this 14-year-old smartass sitting next to me. So he says to me, he goes, what did she just say? And I go, well, she's talking about just that it contains that really your house can only contain so much. That's what she was trying to draw the analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're talking as women would talk. And the woman who wrote the book says, I remember going to a friend of mine's house and seeing like where she kept her kids' crayons in red buckets. So I'm like, oh, I'll go get red buckets. She's like, she had 2 red buckets filled with crayons. So I go, well, we have so many crayons, I'm going to get 3 buckets. And she goes, and I got all these broken crayons, but I kept thinking broken crayons will still write. Right? We're listening to this. And then Jameson and I paused it because he wanted to talk to me about stuff. So we just started talking. We stopped then on the way back. He wanted to hit Target. So we get to Victor. We go to Target. We're walking in and he goes, like crayons, because broken crayons still write, right? He looks at me and goes, is this what happened is this what happens when you give middle-aged women recording devices? And I'm like, hold on a second. I will tell you, and I hope somebody like somehow a clip of what I just said gets to Mel Robbins, because I found it of value. But I'm a 50-something-year-old guy who's living with my son going, yeah, I want to declutter. And there is a difference between declutter and deorganization. And I could hear it, but I go, she's hit a niche. This lady is smart. She asks good questions. She follows up. She explains what's happening. She puts it in bite size, and she's motivating. And she says to like her listeners, I love you if no one's told you today. And it doesn't drip of cheese.
Right.
It sounds very authentic coming out of her mouth. I'm not all that familiar with this person. I'm aware of her. This is the first time I ever listened to her podcast. I thought it was great, but it was different than ours and very focused.
Yeah, I think people find podcasts based on their hobbies and interests or issues.
Yeah.
And I think clutter is a big issue. Like,
she's all over.
Right. You guys break my balls about bringing everything to 2 shows, Family Guy or The Sopranos.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a Family Guy reference. They did an entire episode about Lois decluttering the house to a point where it became poison. And the entire episode ends up being against a whiteboard because she decluttered the actual house.
Yeah.
Like how women could get carried away with stuff. Yeah. By the way, guys too. I mean, the idea is that you take an idea to an extreme, right? And the point is that everyone's got a podcast now, and women get this idea, or men get this idea, like, okay, Danny with supplements, and you get carried away because you don't know when to stop.
Exactly. And so that was it was sort of, but I'm listening to this, I go, it's value, and I go, boy, she's like the Oprah of the podcast world. I'm surprised she doesn't have a television show. She's got her whole company.
Well, that's the progression now. You get the TV show.
I wonder.
Then eventually you get the book deal, or vice versa.
Books, and I go, I wonder if she just doesn't want to.
Could be
do the TV. I think she likes the speaking. I think she lives in Vermont. The studios in Boston.
See, when you're doing TV now, unless you own the show, you are now the employee and you can't do what you want.
Well, that's the other thing.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like only Oprah could do that. Right. But Drew Barrymore and Ellen DeGeneres had to work for somebody. Eventually, Ellen worked her way out. Yeah. Rosie O'Donnell worked her way out.
Yeah.
All right. There's only one Oprah. So I think in today's world now, to get a television show, when you're used to doing things your own way, all of a sudden now you work for somebody. That could be a conflict of interest with your brand.
Tell you, as I look towards 2025 and different things with the podcast and stuff like that, I go, boy, I don't know that I could work for somebody again. I really mean that. And it sounds strange, right? Because I will admit openly now that it has been a struggle at times, and it's been a struggle financially, only because I was making what I was making in radio. That has sort of dried up over 2 years. Not that, things are destitute or whatever, but then I have my 14-year-old son living with me. I still have payments I have to make to my wife. And so there, just legal obligations. That money doesn't get less, even though less is coming in.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but in spite of all of that, or despite all that, I would say I'm more excited about the future now than I've ever been. And I think that I don't know that I could go back.
It's hard.
Yeah, I don't know that I could go back.
I'm in a situation now with work where I work for somebody, but it's like I work for myself. You know what I'm saying? And it would be hard for me to go back to the corporate world.
Yes.
Like my brother's going through it now, now. So he left our company. He's working for somebody, but on a different scale. And he is more responsible to them than he was with our own company that we work for now, or I work for, because our boss is fantastic, but he lets us just do our thing. He's very like hands off. If you need me, call me. I'll help, help you, straighten things out. But now he's working for a corporation where, the job isn't the job anymore. Now there's all this bureaucracy that goes on.
There is.
And 90% of it is navigating that.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Like when we worked in radio, like half if you got rid of the bureaucracy, we would have had a blast.
Yeah. I was
all the time.
I was just thinking of that. As I progressed in radio, it was more hands off for me.
Because they trusted you.
It's imaginable. Well, you delivered, right?
Yeah.
You delivered stuff.
Because you proved you could do it.
And you became more of an independent, and I liked that. But I don't know that I could go back to it now, even in that structure, because there were, you had to do the dance, and I don't know any other way to say it, but you had to do a dance, right? You had to dance to somebody else who was with you or whatever. And I don't feel like with the guys on the podcast, you, Kevin, anybody else that comes in, I don't feel like I have to do that.
No.
And, and everything seems to just flow. And I like it. I like it this way. And
I've had more fun doing this show than maybe any day I've had in radio.
That's sweet to hear. But I really?
Yes. No, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I used to do a show with Brad Davies, and we would talk sports for 3 hours a day. Now that was it was a different kind of fun, though.
Yeah,
it was a different kind of fun. But like Brad and I would break.
I knew that was a really nice time for you.
That was a blast. And I've actually thought about maybe next year, like getting Brad on once a week, just me and him, just talking about stuff.
Yeah, why not?
Because like he was a sports only guy, and now he only watches baseball. He doesn't even pay attention to anything else. He goes, it's amazing when you get a job outside radio, how much your life changes, and you realize how much is out there that you missed, that you didn't see, and that you don't have to pay attention to this stuff anymore if you don't want to. But this, I mean, think about all the people you've brought into this show. Think of all the people. And I don't want to name them all because I don't want to leave anybody out. We've brought in maybe 15 different regular people to this podcast.
Yeah.
And everyone's got a different thing to say, and they're all heard, and we all like listen to each other and learn from each other and have a blast with each other.
Yeah.
Everybody gets along. There's no politics. There's no BS. Nobody's ever MFing anybody. At least we break balls. But that's part of, because we all like each other. It's fun.
I never wanted anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to be
adversarial.
I used to say to you all the time, I think
nobody should dread coming into work.
Yeah.
Nobody should ever dread coming into work.
That's an awful thing. If you dread going to your job, if you have a miserable boss, and sometimes you're in a position, I have family members that will say to me, they've been looking for another job to get out of the job they have. They get another job, or they get, they're on that path, right? But the benefits aren't nearly as good, right? So they stay where they are because you have a family and the benefits are better. And I go, but that's still not exactly the situation they want. And I used to say to you, in radio specifically, or entertainment of any kind, I don't care what it is, entertainment, you shouldn't dread going to work.
No, we shouldn't.
You should love what you do.
And there were times when both of us at different times in our careers were like, oh.
Well, I sometimes look back and go, I don't know that I handled things properly with with that one company that we both worked for, and that I wish I don't wish, but I learned that probably wasn't the exact way to do it. But being that firm, like to me, firm was always boisterous and loud, right?
Yes,
somebody yelling at me, and not just steadfast and calm, and just look somebody dead in the eye and go, absolutely not. Or I don't agree with that, because you can still get the same message across. Right. And I feel like, in a way, I don't know how to say this without sounding weird. Like I let you down a little bit, because I feel like I should have fought harder at times. And then I got so mad, and stupidly so maybe, that I walked away. Because I was told by that company, I will tell you this, I was told by the guy who was in charge of the East Coast. He was our guy.
Yeah.
Right. He said to me,
Grandpa.
yeah.
Is that the guy our friend called Grandpa?
Who? Yeah. Did
JT called him. I gotta go tell Grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He said to me, they used to pull me in all the time.
Yeah.
Don't forget. So he said to me, you could stay here for the next 20 years. He goes, this show is excellent. And he said that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, great. Then let me have it.
But hang on, Bill.
Let me have it.
Not so fast.
So he's still like a hothead, young, and I wasn't that young. I'm in my 40s at the time. But whatever. It doesn't matter. I too.
You didn't let me
love
down.
this.
It's fun. It's funny.
Well, I let you down that one time. Goddamn, when she came to me, it pissed me off so bad. Was this whole? The only thing I can put it to is if you have a boss that says, whatever your contract is with your job is your contract with your job,
right.
Unless you have a job where everybody's sort of equal, everybody came in at whatever, right?
Right.
And the longer you're there, you go up in pay and you get a little seniority. I think in radio and stuff, you're hired by your talent, and whatever your deal is your deal. If you decide to talk about that, then you decide to talk about that. She when I said, then give Dan, you can't give him. If I do that, I have to give everybody. And I said, well, why not give him the same vacation as us? Well, the producers all talk. And if I give it one producer, then I'm going to have to do it for all of them. And I go, is this give a mouse a cookie?
And
He's going to want milk. And
right.
I remember saying that to her. I go, this is the dumbest thing. And it was that kind of thinking that soured me on that company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't let me down. We were all like, you told a story about when before you guys all came over, when you worked with Wheeze, you guys had a guy that stood up for you. His name was Stan Main.
Yeah.
Stan Main always had your back.
Yeah.
So if anything ever went sideways on the show, everybody could go to Stan and Stan would take care of it. Right. Stan, the buck stops here with Stan Main.
Yeah.
When we got JT was great, but JT had to be in charge of everybody.
Yes.
Stan really, he was in charge of CMF first and foremost, and then other guys had other stations, right? But you had a boss, you had a fighter, a warrior for you. JT had to be that for everybody, so he had to pick his spots. And by the way, with corporate, that's by design. They don't want to have too many people they have to fight off, and they don't want to hire somebody strong. After JT, they would never hire somebody that was as strong as JT and had balls like JT again. I'll say it here. They didn't want to do that. Why? Because they don't want to be challenged. They don't want anybody to upstage them. So we were all kind of like pulling pianos up the side of the building, and you had the biggest piano to pull yourself, by yourself. You had to fight so many battles, and then you had to go home and be a dad and a husband, and that was hard. And getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And me, in my late 20s, I never learned the art of emotional intelligence until I was out of radio.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And I realized, looking back, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't.
Dude, what was your problem, man?
I could read people.
You didn't know.
Well.
I didn't know any better.
Yeah,
I didn't know any better, and that was on me. But I'll tell you this. Let me say this about this podcast. And I mentioned Brad Davies earlier. Between you, me, and Tommy, and me and Brad, my favorite times in radio weren't when the mics were on. It was when the mics went off. And this podcast, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. This podcast is the place where you will hear everything that can't be discussed when the mics are on, but when the mics are off.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. And I love coming here. And I love doing this.
I'm so
and
happy
I hope everybody else that comes on this show, and I think they do appreciate that you're able to do this, because anybody can flip a switch and start a podcast. You and I know a lot of people have tried. Yeah. And after 5 episodes, yep, that's it. I'm done. I've done it. I did over like 400 episodes of my own podcast. Yeah. Eventually, large story. But the point is, though, is that it's not easy. The fact that we're still here 2 years later and that you guys cared enough to listen and people care enough to come on, it's special. And it's only going to get better. And I love it. It's fantastic.
I agree with all that. We'll take them on. We'll hear from some of our great sponsors. By the way, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. I don't know if you're aware of this, but back by popular demand.
McRib.
Jameson did say to me. Jameson goes, "Hey, the McRib's back," and I didn't react. And he goes, "You know what that is?" And I go, "Yes, I know what the McRib is." No, back.
No.
The Woodcliff.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. Woodcliff Hotel and Spa.
I got my wife some gift cards for their last Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm like, you better start using them.
Yeah. Well, so
I'm not going to get you any more until you start using them, boo.
We
start using them this week.
We have gift cards.
You're going to get a calf massage
that we can that we have to give away.
Cool. Oh, we give them away.
We have some to give away.
Can I win?
No,
Oh,
you
okay.
cannot.
All right.
No.
That's one of the downfalls of doing
Yes.
a podcast, folks. You can't win stuff.
But
If you're on it.
we will tell you
Okay.
by the end of the week how you can win this.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
All right.
But just in case
Mhm.
you want to go, they have all kinds of really fantastic packages. And this is award winning. You and I toured the place last year.
Yes, we did.
And it's so great. But I'll give you one of the packages they have is the romance package. Okay. So it's the winter romance package. And in this, it's a delightful fusion of spa serenity and culinary indulgence.
Well, that's the best of both worlds, Billy.
You immerse yourself in seasonal bliss with their exclusive spa treatments, followed by a gourmet dining experience that'll warm your heart and tantalize your taste buds. Embrace the enchanting ambiance and savor the perfect blend of relaxation and culinary delights. It's the ultimate winter rendezvous for couples seeking a magical escape. Just think, after the holidays, you want to reconnect with your boo.
Or Tracy, if you're racing Randy.
Yeah, or Tracy.
Buddy, 9 thumbs up, buddy.
Overnight accommodations in the executive view room. Okay.
Oh, wow.
A robe, slippers in the room, homemade spiced millionaire shortbread, and a bottle of sparkling wine, $150 dinner or spa credit. And you can book this by going to woodcliffhotelspa.com, and the booking code is WRomance. But take a look at all the packages. That's just one.
That's just
of
one.
many that they have.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just saying, it may be one that you kind of have it as a stocking stuffer to say, hey, after this is all done, all the holidays,
Right.
we're traveling, we get through New Year's, that February, kind of down quiet time.
Right around President's Day.
Yes.
You need that extra wind in your
Yes.
sails, right?
Yes. You go to the Woodcliff Hotels and Spa,
Yeah.
but you have bought it at woodcliffhotelspa.com. And we will tell you how you can get a $100
married-
gift card as well.
I had my wedding reception there. It was fabulous.
Yes.
It was fabulous.
The food is great.
Mm-hmm.
The view is fantastic, and it's it's right here, and I'm telling you, world class spa with the salt wall. So
Mhm.
you come in, you're breathing.
Remember we walked in, it was like a Tuesday, and this dude, he just got a massage. He's sitting there on the couch in his flip flops or his slippers, and he's got a scotch.
Yeah,
it's a Tuesday. And I'm like, Billy, nothing says success. They're like
we were
sitting.
so jealous.
Nothing says success like sitting on a couch in a robe with a scotch on
That's
a
right.
Tuesday, looking
That's
out the
right.
window going, yeah, I made it. That could be you on President's Day week,
That's-
ladies and gentlemen, or
that is-
anytime.
That is right. All right, we'll take a moment and be right back.
I'll have a Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you.
What is it about the holidays? I think of Elvis as much as I think of Santa.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know what it is.
Did you hear this a lot growing up? Was it Elvis popular in your house?
Well, the story was, no, Elvis really wasn't popular, but when he came on, my father would sing it like Elvis.
Okay.
Right? And his
it's
ex-wife loved Elvis.
Okay.
In fact, the story was that my older sister, when she was alive, she remembered the day Elvis died. She's watching soaps with her. It was in the middle of summer, right? She's watching soaps with her grandmother, and her mother and her grandmother and her lived together after her mother split up with my dad. And on the crawl comes across the bottom of the screen. The king is dead. Elvis Presley dies at like 43 years old in Graceland. Yeah. And the grandmother and her mother start bawling.
Really?
And her aunt, oh my gosh, the king is dead. The king is dead. My father goes, she didn't cry when she left me. But like every time that song came on, my father was, oh, I hate this song. Why, Dad? Because my ex-wife used to play it all the time. And so then my brother-in-law, when he would go over to their house for Christmas, he would hear this song over and over again. And he told my father, he goes, Carol was her name. Carol plays that song by Elvis, Blue Christmas. And my father starts laughing. Oh, you hate it too, huh? Yeah, she used to do that with me. It drove me nuts. But for some reason, like Elvis just always was playing around the holidays because he always had a holiday record.
Yeah. And
my grandmother enjoyed it. So he and Sinatra, anybody who was a star at that point in the 60s and 70s had a Christmas album.
Yes.
So you'd hear them around the holidays. So that's why I kind of think of it. Randomly around Thanksgiving, when you're sitting there watching football and there's a commercial break, I go to my phone, I go, I wonder who owns Elvis now. So I actually looked up who owns Elvis. And here's what I mean. Like
who
Elvis,
owns the rights to
everything. Yeah. And like Lisa Marie had it for a while, but then it ran out. They had to sell it. So now it's like a conglomerate that really owns Graceland and Elvis, but she was the majority like shareholder of her father's properties and stuff. But I mean, now that she's gone, it's going to be all kinds of, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at Graceland in the next 20 years.
Oh yeah.
Because there's going to be a generation of kids that just don't give a crap about Elvis.
No, they don't even know now. The kids today, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, the term soft and, all the things.
Well, every generation calls the next generation soft, right?
But
and life was better 25 years ago.
It's so funny to me because Jameson, I'm older, right? And when his brothers were little, obviously younger, new first time. And you get a little more patience, or you just have wisdom with age. That right? That's the blessing of old age. Youth is wasted on the young because you weren't as wise. That you like you said, you weren't as emotionally intelligent.
If I could go back,
and you can't. And so here we are. But I watch things with kids, and I'm substitute teaching at times, and I see a lot of things, and I don't know. I feel like, and this will probably ruffle some feathers, but let's have the discussion.
That's why we do it.
And you can always reach out. You can call the number that's on the bottom of the screen anytime, leave a message. It would lead to a discussion on the podcast. You can leave us comments if you're watching live. You can send emails and things, and we'll even have our website. You can look. There's a test page up right now. I'm not going to say anything, but it's something's in the works. So anyway, interaction. I would love that. But I feel like if we talk about groups, segments of the population and underserved segments of the population, or people who have been ostracized or put out, and whether it's, whether you are gay or whatever, right? All for years. I can't deny that that's the thing. I just feel like right now, young men are almost this forgotten thing. I feel like we aren't in a way, we're trying to put a round peg in a square hole and then wonder why things are the way they are. And I think like we're not, it
becomes a vicious cycle.
Well, I just always feel like there's a lot of energy in young boys.
Yes.
Just biologically.
They're boys.
And I think sitting in school is hard. I do. I think it's hard for them. And I think trying to get 6 hours of that is a tough thing. And especially for boys. I'm not saying maybe for girls as well, but I feel like women are more, I don't know, emotionally intelligent, smarter, able to focus.
They mature sooner and faster.
But they're more honest about things where guys try to stuff it down. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we've designed things in such a way that boys can't really be boys anymore. We don't want you doing this. We don't hands on each other, even the horseplay, the horsing around, the dumb jokes, the whatever. I go, that to me is
those
like,
are microaggressions, Bill.
well, that's the thing.
And that's the point you're making, is that we don't let boys be boys anymore.
I don't think we do. And I'm not saying like we shouldn't be putting hands. I get it. I'll agree with you on that. But we should be able to say, get outside and run for 15 minutes,
right?
Whatever, blow off some steam.
Hit a heavy
let's
bag.
Let's get up and do some jumping jacks or whatever. And I just feel like there's this underserved thing, and you're forcing them to sit and be still and be quiet, pay attention, and if you don't, there's consequences. And I go, boy, it just seems like we're not meeting them where they need to be met.
I agree.
We're trying to force them to meet us where we believe they need to be met, or somebody did. And I think that I think there's a lot of guys who I just have an ability and a curiosity about people. When I say ability, I feel like I can connect pretty well with almost anybody in some way. I'm not going to say we'll be best friends, but I can connect. People open.
You get at your level. I'll meet you at your level.
And I've even talked to kids. One kid was telling me when I was subbing, I could tell he was he looked like an 80s bully. Dangly earrings, mullet,
jean jacket,
no, sleeveless t-shirt, right? And I was coming into a class. The teacher was going to be leaving, so he was setting it up. And he says to me, "Yeah, you got to watch those two in the back." I already noticed. And I went back and I wound up talking to this kid. And the kid wound up opening up to me, telling me that he's between where he was in that school and another school that was nearby, and why he bounced back and forth. And then it came out, my mom took off. And so now I'm with grandma. Right. And kids in this school are different from kids in the other school, and I don't like it, and blah, blah. And I was like, why aren't we trying to meet the kid where the kid's at? Now, I will tell you, and your wife's a teacher, I don't know how the fuck they do it, because I will never, ever, ever in my life think teaching is an easy job. Substitute teaching is a very easy job because I just go in and get to be me. That's it. I get to be me, say silly things, talk to the kids. If they ask me something, I'll answer them. I'll try to help them. I'll do whatever. But there's no pressure on me. I don't have to raise your test scores by 10 points. I don't have to get a certain percentage of kids to pass a Regents. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I just got to get you through the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Or through a period without stabbing each other
it.
with a pencil.
That's it. Yep. That's it. And so
no casualties.
When I
all
go
right,
in
out of
there,
second period.
And I had to do it because with Jameson living with me, all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, we're gonna crash this boat here if I don't get back on track. And I'm trying to adjust things with the podcast that I know long term will be fine. In the meantime, it's a little tight. Okay. Then all of a sudden he's gonna come with me. I'm like, whoa. So this has worked out great. And it's helped me help him. But I'm like, man, we don't meet these guys where they're at. And I think that they try, but there's such a large group of kids, you can't get to everybody. And I go, man, I feel bad for teachers because I think they do care. And I think they do want to reach every kid. But I think that the pressure sometimes is on.
There's so much other stuff that they have to worry about first. That it's like an inverted period of worry.
Yeah.
I have to take care of all of this before I can get down to, hey, man, how you doing?
Right. And
Isn't
so
that sad?
In a way, and it's hard, right? You got a class of 30 kids. You can't meet each one individually. But I can, I can at times, and I just go over and talk to the kids. Like this one kid the other day was telling me, I go, what do you like to do when you're not here? He goes, I fix bicycles. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I just find random bicycles. He goes, and then sometimes they sell them. I sold one for $70.
Wow.
He's like a 14, 15-year-old kid. I go, that is so great, dude. Working with your hands and blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And like, you're just, and I don't even mean it as, but that positive feedback and that telling that kid, hey man, working with your hands is awesome. Again, a boy, another, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where we just, I feel like sometimes that gets lost. And I even noticed like with Jameson, he wants to stop. He wants to get some kind of, he goes, yeah, this lotion smells great. Can we get it? And I go, what? He's like, what? You don't wear any cologne or anything? I go, no. He goes, what do you, oh yeah, that's right. You just use your soap. That's it. And I go, I sound like a grizzled old fuck, but that is, I don't wear cologne. I wear deodorant, of course, but
Yeah.
I don't, we now have things that ads where we didn't talk about different parts of our body stinking.
Right.
Now I got a lady in her underwear going,
Lume.
yeah. And
Which, by the way, is incredibly toxic if you look at the stuff that's in it.
oh, I have no idea, but all
Yeah.
I'm saying is like,
Use Dr. Squatch.
we're worried about what we smell like and what happened.
Right. We have
What happened?
we have
stuff?
the luxury of
Which is great. Okay.
we have the luxury of worrying about things we shouldn't worry about. I mean,
Yeah.
and not worrying about the things we
We
should
should worry about. Right.
So growing up, there were always these. We had a gazebo in our hometown, and all the kids who really were misfits hung out in the gazebo.
Sure
and
they
eventually earned the name Gazebites
Oh, nice.
because they were rebellious, and
Yeah.
but they weren't compared to today's kids. And I hate saying that, they weren't really that bad. They just hung out in the gazebo, so people wouldn't want to go hang out in the park, right? Well, a couple of them named Wayne and Joe. What's more rebellious than going to church? So they started going to the white church next to the gazebo, and those people who were like Presbyterian were like prim and proper, like, no, you can't come to our church.
Really?
So they come to our church, and my father sees this a mile away coming, and they walk in, and he knows they're going to be rebellious. So what does he do? He leans into it. Cool, man. Cool. What's your name? And they be swearing, and they, well, we don't curse here, but tell me about these people. Then use a pejorative. Why don't you like them? And they opened up to them.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're coming to church. One of them became saved and got baptized.
Yeah.
Why? Because the adults in the church
Showed an interest.
showed an interest in them. They didn't get mad at them. They just
No.
okay, we're gonna play along.
Right.
As long as if they get stupid, then we're gonna
Yeah.
say, hey, look, you can't talk like that.
No,
this
but
is a
I think
church.
kids like a boundary.
Right. And my father goes, people there are kids who want to be told by their parents,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
They want to be told, no,
Yes.
you're not going out tonight. Hey, no,
Yes.
I want you to stay home with me. My father goes, I know what it's like. Both my parents worked all the time, so I practically had to raise myself. So
Right.
I understand what it's like to go out and be rebellious because you're looking for attention. You're looking
Yeah.
for people to care and
Yes.
notice you
Yes.
and for validation.
Yes.
But eventually that runs out.
Right.
You have to have some structure in your
That's
life.
why I think sports is phenomenal.
Right.
Because it gives you, especially and for every gender, please don't. I hope
Mhm.
I don't upset anybody, but I think just because I am a guy, I think for guys and especially young guys, it's the great meritocracy. You can work hard and
Right.
improve.
It's the last bastion of
And-
meritocracy.
and you wind up just doing better at everything. It's like all of a sudden you can get real validation when you do things. And I believe that you can push a kid further in all areas once they start feeling good about themselves.
Yes.
That to me is the real self-esteem. And that, it's not
Mhm.
blowing smoke up somebody's ass, but it's going, hey, when you did something great, God, man,
Mhm.
that's impressive.
Right.
That's my thing. And I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not a child psychologist. You know all this. I'm just telling you, as somebody who has observed life for 53 years, I think we get young guys wrong. I think
I think you're right. And I think it starts in Hollywood. Here's what I mean by that. So when I grew up and you grew up, the sitcom formula, and it still is this today, is okay. You got the mom and the dad. The
yeah,
dad's
I
an
hear
idiot.
that.
The mom is smart.
Yeah.
There's 3 kids. It's always usually 2 girls and a boy.
Yeah.
The boy is dumb. There's the hot girl, and then there's the dumb girl, right?
Yeah.
But let's focus on the men are stupid. The women are smart. The little girl always runs the family and saves the day. And it's a formula that's been played out because it's supposed to sound ridiculous. Now they're telling us that should be the norm. And when I see on Twitter all these media guys going, I'm a girl dad. I'm a girl dad.
Yeah.
I'm a girl dad. Well, that's great. But what about your little boy? Do you not have boys?
They
Do
may,
we
some
not?
may not.
But
I
even
don't
if you
know.
do, even if you don't,
Yeah.
you don't neglect the boys to prove that you're a great girl dad, to make women feel better about themselves, because the boys get neglected too. And we've been trained, men are stupid, boys are stupid. And after a while, collectively, we start believing it, and it's not true.
What was the Growing Pains?
Yes, Mike Seaver, Ben.
Did they make that dad to be out?
No, he was actually with it.
I was trying to think. I go,
Cosby was. He was a doctor, but she ran the show.
Yes.
Mrs. Huxtable ran the show.
Yeah, but they seemed to balance pretty good.
They did, but there was always a moment at the end where both parents came together to teach a lesson.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas Growing Pains, Dr. Seaver was actually pretty with it. In fact, the joke was he was more with it on screen than off screen. Like Alan Thicke was not in control of his family, according to stories. But but the point is that was a stable family. This is what a stable family is supposed to look like. The Seavers.
Yeah.
The mom worked.
Yeah.
But she was also had time to be a mom.
It was. Well, guys do dumb things.
They do.
We like that dumb stuff, but I say encourage that sort of. You know what I mean? I got to sit in on a wood shop class. I loved it. I was helping some kid put a table together. But I just think that those types of things, like, we need to not be so fearful as much and let kids just go. Yeah. And maybe I'm too much that way. I don't know. But as a kid growing up, I would jump on my bike and be gone. I would be 3-4 miles into town, and it was no big deal. And I was 12. I thought I was younger than that when I was doing it. And I never checked in at home, and there was no way to call, and there was no anything. And you kind of learned the rules of the playground, the rules of the jungle, right? You knew who the leader among your peers was. And if you didn't like it, there were scraps and different things but it all figured it out. And I feel like that's lost. And does that hurt things overall?
Like there's a fear, like because of now podcasts, as we mentioned last segment, and these Netflix documentaries now, more and more kids are getting snatched. Here's the thing. I don't know anybody who was snatched growing up.
Wait, more and more kids are getting
snatched,
off
no,
I know.
Like kidnapping, right?
Yeah.
And you might hear about that once in a year on the news or something locally. I'm not talking about nationally, like a Natalie Holloway situation. I'm talking about locally, right? But because of all these podcasts and true crime and all these TV shows, now we think our kids don't leave the house. Yeah. Like, if you ever follow a bus along a road at bus stop, there's no bus stop in the neighborhood anymore. They stop at every kid's house now, even if it's 5 feet away. You stop. I mean, that's just so inefficient. But yet parents nowadays are so scared that their kid's going to be the next Netflix special.
Boy, I guess.
I think that's why, I saw some of it this past week with my family. Like, my one niece wandered out to the pool. She wasn't going swimming. They had a birthday party for my other niece. And my sister-in-law tells my brother, hey, you got to watch her, man. She was standing there all by herself, man. Because she was just by the pool. She was by herself. She could have gotten snatched. I'm like, I could see this being the prevailing thought.
Yeah.
She's just
I
being a mom.
More that she would have fallen into the pool and drowned.
Oh, could be. Yeah. But that's the thing. You don't want to be the dumb statistic and live with that guilt the rest of your life.
No.
But I mean, I think you should let your kids go into the woods more often. You should let your kids go to the playground. You should let your kids be able to get out and experience life and not just be on their phone all day or playing Pokemon or doing whatever.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the phone has been tough.
Now, there's one thing I will ask you. This came up today. I'm not going to say where, but somebody said, I think all kids at 18 years old should be given 2 years of mandatory military service, like in Israel. And I'm more and more I thought about it, because this is not the first time I've heard this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the worst idea. I wouldn't want to do it because clearly I didn't. I went straight to college. I didn't go in the military. But I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. But making everybody do it, would it make us a more productive society? I think it would.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's something that we need to do. Do we?
I've heard this same thing for years. I think it would give you structure.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would learn things that you hadn't learned in life.
Society would be more lubricated.
But I wonder if some kind of service, whether it be AmeriCorps or you're going to another country to help set up to be of service. That was one of the things that one of my guys who went to McQuaid, it was a private Jesuit school. You did of service, right? You needed to be of service. I think that's some real valuable stuff. mandatory military things, I don't know. I don't know that you would get that through anymore. But maybe I certainly could see. I think you would benefit. I think any kind of structure that you have would help you in life. You know, I think that we devalue it a little bit because it's like, well, it's guns and it's this and it's military and it's scary and it's war and that sort of thing. But I think it's a disciplined lifestyle that, there's a benefit to it.
Yeah.
You know, I hope there never is a war. I don't want to see that. I
No.
don't want to see that stuff. But
something I've thought about, though, you know, because but we hear more.
Well, you know, it's nice to sit on this end of life and think about it because we wouldn't.
We don't have to do it. One and two,
yeah.
We only hear like people like it's like Amazon reviews, right? They're either 4-star or 1-star. They're never like 2 or 3 stars. Those are the honest reviews. We only hear about like the bad kids. We never hear about the hundreds and thousands of good kids who like do well and are proper.
Right.
And by the way, we have a pretty well functioning society. I think we're doing okay.
Yeah.
We just hear about the bad news stories and think that that's the norm.
Right.
It's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Beware of it, but it's not the norm.
I always try to think statistically on things.
Yeah.
But not statistically. I just always just kind of go, you know, that's not everybody. And
right.
It's an unfortunate situation that happened. I hope it doesn't happen to somebody, but now
we do have, I mean, it is rising. I mean, we are hearing more about Kia boys and stuff like that, but I mean, overall society is not in that direction.
No. And I even wonder in those situations, have we stifled boys so much that's what they're the ones that are going out? And I'm not saying girls aren't part of that. That's not, but its majority is boys. And I think in certain schools, you're seeing more fights. And I think it's because there's, I don't know, gangs, whatever, and I'm going to stick up because they want to belong to something. So they're belonging to something. And instead of having a figure, authority in their life of any kind, they're going to find it.
Yeah.
Because they're craving it. And I think that's the thing. You want to box? Put on some gloves. We'll teach you how.
Yeah.
Right? You want to hit each other? Let's do it there. It's a little safer to be supervised and have some equipment on. And maybe you learn a skill and a discipline. And maybe you love working out. Maybe the next Mike Tyson is found. I don't know. But, you know, I do think water seeks its own level at times, and kids are going to find a way. It was exactly what your dad said about the kids at church.
Yeah.
They want that. Whether they're telling you or not, they want it. And I think especially young boys. And I think that's how some bad stuff happens sometimes. And gangs and different things, because they're looking for that structure and, you know, and support, right? And and for lack of a better term, love. In a way, you're right. Somebody gives a shit. I'm accountable for something. They need me. I'm wanted. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. All right, rambled too much. We'll take a moment. I actually have something that I'll ask for advice on, and maybe you'll have it, Danny. But
Sammy.
But basketball tryouts this week.
Oh, wow. It's that time of year.
We'll get to that right after this.
Beneath the stands where our dreams take flight, two college teams gear up for the fight. Rival jerseys, red and blue, brothers divided, fling dirt anew. Crowds roar louder, drowning the night. Cleats on turf, both sides ready to bite. Coaches holler, players stand tall. Rivalry spark ignites in the fall. Crowds roar louder, drowning the night. Cleats on turf, both sides ready to bite. Coaches holler, players stand tall. Rivalry spark ignites in the fall. On the Friday night lights, the battle began. Feel lit up more than just fans. Helmets clash.
Danny and the Healthy Fats.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Raising the ire.
Grayson Randy's on the violin or the fiddle.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, look at Randy. I had no idea.
I know.
With this.
Yeah, a lot of talents, buddy.
Now, here's the alternative version.
Stands where dreams take flight.
I don't like this one as well.
Two college teams gear up to the fight.
So, talk to me about what happened in college football yesterday, because
Which time?
I missed. Well, Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan wins.
So Michigan at 7-5, they just came off a national championship,
Yeah.
and this year they just haven't been that good.
Yeah, it
But
happens.
okay,
And
that
they gotta
happened.
have a whole new
Jim
coach.
Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh's gone
Yeah.
on. They're not like taping the sidelines. They're not getting signals anymore.
Right.
So now,
Right.
okay, so they go up against the Ohio State University, and it's considered the game. They've met 103 times or something like that, and it's a rivalry. It's the biggest rivalry in college football. It's a game where you throw the records out, supposedly. And Ohio State's trying to get in the playoff. Michigan's not going to get in the playoff. They're going to at least get a bowl game, though.
Yeah.
And Michigan beats Ohio State yesterday. So what do teams do after they win on the road against an arch rival? Because
Take their flag.
they
and
take their
stab
flag
it.
and they plant it at midfield,
Right.
on the logo of their
Okay.
opponent. People have done this for years. It's happened for years. Baker Mayfield did it with Oklahoma at
Yes,
Ohio
yes.
State. You see, Ohio State and Oklahoma weren't rivals. Michigan and Ohio State are.
Yeah.
And so
The
Ohio
players-
State took exception to Michigan doing this, and a fight ensued at midfield, and some police officers decided to use pepper spray.
I think
to
a
break it up.
reporter got pepper sprayed
Yes.
while she's standing
I
there.
mean,
in the melee.
it's ridiculous. This
Why
has
are you-
gone on and for years, and all of a sudden yesterday, it was funny because Gus Johnson's the play-by-play guy. And he's fantastic. Joe Klatt, I think, is the most knowledgeable guy in college football. And they actually disagreed during the melee. Gus, you don't rub the other team's nose in it. And Joel Klatt goes, yeah, but it's a rivalry game. They got to expect it. Klatt, who's played college football, understands this, right?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean yet. So they're not arguing, but they're discussing because they have
Yes.
to.
Yes.
But the point, so then it happens again with Florida and Florida State.
Okay, did
It happened again later.
Because I was watching Florida State.
Mhm.
My sister-in-law's father is part of the chain gang
Oh, okay. All right.
for home games.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't know where they were playing. I don't know where that.
I don't know if it was at FSU or I just heard that this happened.
Florida was. I mean, they were just opening it up.
So-
Florida
so-
State was not playing well, but they have a
Florida State's awful.
Well, they have a freshman quarterback who's actually pretty good. He had some but he had their offensive line is
So
terrible.
Florida State was in the national title conversation last year.
Yeah.
They didn't get in, and now we all know why, because they were terrible. Excuse me. And so Florida planted the flag at midfield.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. Another skirmish. So so at College Station, Texas, where A&M
Yeah.
is playing, A&M and Texas haven't played, I guess, in about 15 years since conference switches and whatever. So they finally get to play yesterday, and Texas, of course, who's also in the playoff conversation, beats A&M. They go to do the same thing, and Steve Sarkisian, the head coach of Texas, gets at midfield and goes, no.
Yeah.
We're not doing this again.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want another incident.
Right.
And cooler heads prevailed.
Yeah. All right.
But the thing is though, is that so many people with Twitter accounts and
Yeah.
microphones,
yeah.
we can't do this. We can't allow this. And other people who have been part of it, have actually been in athletics, have actually played and said, you don't want this to happen? Win the game.
Right.
Play
I
defense
agree.
or shut up.
I
Because
agree.
it's not like they came out with guns and started taking hostages. They just planted a flag at midfield. Hey, this
Well,
is our
all
turf.
right.
We won today. That's
All
all
right.
it was.
Let me ask you this, because I'll get your opinion on this. I am fine with celebrating a touchdown. Lately, some of them annoy me a little bit because whatever. But I'm not a big fan of the point when you get the first down, even in the pros,
Mhm.
like, you know, sort of in your face. I'm like, hey, got it. Barry Sanders, this, right? Come on.
Yeah. Just Thurman Thomas, just score.
Yeah.
Hand the ball to the
but
official.
whatever. Maybe that's just old guy talk. I don't
Mhm.
know. But again, okay, no big
I don't
deal.
have a problem with it if you're losing and you do that.
Yeah.
If you're getting your ass kicked, hey, first down,
Yeah.
dude, scoreboard.
But I watched yesterday. I watched a little bit of the Florida game, and it was on like ESPN2. It was sort of hidden.
Yeah.
ESPN3. I don't know where it was.
Neither team's in the
But
national title picture.
I was just looking, and because of my sister-in-law Morgan, I was just with her for Thanksgiving. I'll watch this, and it looked like the momentum in the game was about to change. Florida State's about to score. They're down in the red zone, and the quarterback does a pitch out, and the kid looks up. He thinks he has it, looks up to see a defender coming, and never catches the ball, fumble, right?
Mhm.
And so they go, boy, this team is snake bitten, blah, blah. And I'm watching, and one of the players, after one of the big linemen or whatever, after the play is over, the ball's been fumbled and recovered, and he goes over, and to the guy who fumbled it, he kind of gets in his face and hits him.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why isn't that unsportsmanlike conduct? Like, I don't care. The point is one thing. Say something as the guy walks by, but then, I mean, he literally like shoved this guy. And even on the replay, I'm like, God damn, how did they not give him at least?
Was the play over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I felt like the play was over, and the kid's his head's down, and he's kind of walking back, and everybody's kind of coming back, and he kind of pops him.
Yeah, he should have thrown a
Pops
flag.
him basically to go.
Officials must have missed
Yeah,
it.
you can't even. I thought for sure. Now, I don't have a problem with the celebration thing. If all of a sudden they're like cheering in your face, that's part of it. But the almost punched the guy, or I think there was another time where they smacked, like the quarterback had already gotten rid of the ball, whatever. They literally smacked him in the face.
Oh, really?
And I go, I'm not a fan of the dirty. That stuff seems dirty.
Yeah,
to me.
you don't
it
need
seems
that.
shitty and dirty. And I go, aren't the old term of you're better than that?
Yeah.
I think that you're better than that. I would want to be better than that. Now, I say that being a hothead who in the moment, if I, recovered the ball and was like in your face, if I dropped it, I wouldn't have been the guy to just stand there. I think I would have gotten back in that guy's face. So I sometimes feel like I shouldn't say anything at all, but I was like, wow, I'm surprised they're not getting like at least a 5-yard penalty for that.
Yeah, I would be. Well, it would be 15 if you throw a
Well,
flag
they didn't
there.
have 15 to the end zone, so they would have been.
It'll be half the
back.
distance to the goal or whatever. But yeah, like always try to be sportsmanlike, But the flag planting.
That's what I'm saying. If it's part of the tradition of what goes on,
Yeah, I mean that's the reason they call these rivalry
but the
games.
fucking pepper spray.
Oh, that was ridiculous. And then so I'm a Michigan and Miami fan. The teams
Yes.
have never played each other since '88. Miami was my team because of Jim Kelly and Bernie Kosar. They were quarterback and then they had a Pell Grant scandal in the '90s. They were taken off television. So I hated Notre Dame. Well, Michigan had these cool uniforms and this guy named Desmond Howard, who was the coolest player at the time. So I rooted for Michigan because they were on television. They had a lot of good quarterbacks too. So I've always rooted for these two teams. So I'm happy Michigan wins. Then I get to 3:00. And Syracuse is playing Miami in Syracuse.
Yeah.
And I actually considered going to this game. It wasn't sold out until like game time. But I'm like, my wife would probably not enjoy it. It's not the Bills. So no need. And Miami had a 21-7 lead. But Miami, if you ever watched Miami over the years, they're that team that's always going to do something stupid, like you explained, and shoot themselves in the feet, which they did. Paul Feinbaum once called them a third world program, and Dan Lebitard goes, he needs to apologize for that because Lebitard's a pussy. And so Paul Feinbaum, who's like the godfather of college football talks, apologized. No, they really are a third world program because they do stupid stuff like that and shoot themselves in the feet all the time. So when Syracuse beat them yesterday and then stormed the field, I was not surprised.
Right.
Because Fran Brown has that program turned around. I don't know how far they're going to go in the future, but man, he's a hell of a recruiter. And Syracuse has a bright future with that guy at the helm. They looked sharp yesterday, and they beat Miami, and they beat them fair and square. And Miami looked dumbfounded at the end of that game.
Yeah, I think Syracuse has really benefited from the transfer portal.
Yeah. Well, that's where they're going to get most of their guys. But you've always had a dome.
Yeah.
You play indoors.
Yeah.
Why would you not have one of the top recruiting programs in the country?
I have no idea. It never made any sense.
Because it's cold out. Well, it's cold out for basketball, but they won a national championship 20 years ago.
So they it's a weird. It is weird. You're right. But I think it's great. And even last night, their transfer portal is where they're finding.
Yes, it's where everybody's finding their players now.
Yeah. And it's strange.
It's where Deion finds his players. He ain't recruiting high school kids. He's just getting
because they go
quasi-professionals.
They're talking about this true freshman quarterback. I think he's a true freshman quarterback for Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid, like at times, looked great, but he was under pressure all day. I mean, he was running for his life.
Oh, yeah.
The offensive line is terrible. And the announcers go, well, they're going to have to go into the transfer portal to beef up that line. And I go, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? And I went, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
How are they going to do it? Because now in college football, it's all about reloading.
Yeah.
It's all about reloading. Like Colorado last year with Deion went from a 1-win team to a 6 or 7-win team just because of Deion's presence alone.
Yeah.
And not only is recruitment up, but enrollment is up. Like people want to go to Colorado because of Coach Prime.
Yeah.
Now I think he's a little bit of a jackwagon lately.
Yeah.
But you can't deny the success he's had. He may end up coaching the Cowboys next year.
I know.
You know, I don't know if that's a great idea.
Some people think that Jerry's too racist to hire a black coach.
No, Jerry, it's not. I don't think Jerry's a racist at all. I think Jerry's ego is an issue.
Well, I think
Jerry's got to be the
He's-
reason that they win.
Well, he's the only owner that they
He's
talk
never the reason
to.
they lose, but he's
He's the only owner they talk to before a head coach.
They
don't talk to the coach or the players.
Post game press conference.
Yes.
And then he has his own show on
And then he
Mondays.
told people that he was going to get them fired.
Oh yeah,
Right, the radio guys.
I run the league, which he does. Think about all the ex-Cowboys who are broadcasting now, who aren't even that good. Oh man! By the way, did you watch football on Thanksgiving? You had to.
A little bit. I did not a lot. Not a lot of fun. I watched the game.
Imagine
with
getting
the sound
fired
off.
the day on Black Friday because in your last 30 seconds of a game, you didn't call timeout and your quarterback dilly-dallied at the line of scrimmage. You're talking about Chicago, folks.
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus gets fired.
Yeah.
Then the 4 o'clock game, nobody wants to watch, right? Supposedly, nobody wants to watch. It was like the 5th highest rated regular season game in
Wasn't
years.
that Kansas Raiders?
No, the second game was the Giants and Cowboys.
Oh, I barely watched it. What was
38 million people watched that game, Billy.
Was the Black Friday game Kansas City and the Raiders?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the one I watched. I didn't really see much football on
oh gosh,
Thanksgiving.
So the night game was the Packers beating the Dolphins, and making great. So apparently McDaniel in his last 12 games or last 11 games against plus 500 opponents is like 1-11.
Yeah.
Right. And Tua can't win like under 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So it was like you might as well just put all your money, your life savings on Green Bay that night. You would have come back double. Then the Vegas Chiefs game, Vegas is driving down the field. They're like, oh my gosh, all they need is a field goal to win this game.
Exactly.
And you're like, how is the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
And how did it drop? The center got nervous and snapped the ball. Quarterback. This kid O'Connell, this poor kid wasn't expecting it.
I had the sound down because nobody is a football fan other than like my kids. And they were, around family and stuff, but nobody else. So I just said, can I have the game on with the sound down? I don't need to, I can watch. I can tell what's happening. So I didn't see that. I didn't see how the game ended. But I was all I thought was, boy, Kansas City is vulnerable.
Oh, they are.
They're very
Even
vulnerable.
my wife, who's been watching football all of 5 years now, Kansas City's not that good, are they? I go, wow, but you're right.
Yeah.
I go,
I would say vulnerable. I think they're good. They're Kansas City.
Well, have you seen all the ways that they have won this year? I
yes.
mean, it's ridiculous.
It is.
Just the amount of luck that they've had going
100%.
their way. The only team to beat them, of course, the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
But I mean, the Bills could have used the Raiders' help, and they didn't get it. And by the way, there were 2 flags thrown on that last play. The one ref is running in with a false start, meaning the play shouldn't have happened. The other ref said it was an illegal formation. They talk it over. Yep, Chiefs ball. Well, if it was a false start, the illegal formation should have never have happened in the first place. But then Herb Street explained the rule and blah, 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 and this and that. And it's like they will explain away anything in the NFL.
Yeah.
They will explain away anything. And I'm not an anti-refs guy, but holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's just, there's just too many coincidences.
It's fun with sports, and my guys have played and enjoy sports. My brother was never a team sport guy, so his 7-year-old son is on like an elite skiing team, ski racing team. Yeah, they were leaving,
And in the summer, he's on the rowing team.
they were leaving on Friday and or Saturday going straight to the mountain where they have their own little condo.
Mhm.
And he's on a ski, and his daughter plays field hockey and stuff, but nobody really cared. They're more into college football than anything. And then my sister's kids, one does a lot of hip hop dance, my nephew.
Mhm.
He's great at it. It's very athletic. I mean, it's really athletic stuff. And my niece is a synchronized swimmer. It's been in the Junior Olympics and everything. So like everybody's into, like, no one gave a shit about football. You know what I mean? Nobody cares.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
You're Neanderthals in your football sports.
That's it. And so I was interested in what was happening, but I thought the Giants Cowboys game was the Giants Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the 4:00 game.
yeah.
38 million people watched that game that no one supposedly
Okay.
cared about.
So, and who did win that?
Dallas won.
And then how come we're not going to see the Giants fire Dable?
Because I think that what's happened, well, look at the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Woody Johnson's become a laughing stock, and the Jets have gone through this rotating cast of different coaches, different quarterbacks. They just fired their GM, they fired their head coach. They did, but you don't want to be the franchise. Let's put it this way: when there's two laughing stocks in New York, you want to be less of the laughing stock. And the Jets have already clinched the laughing stock of New York team. So the Maras and the Tishes, who are a little bit more reasonable, they have won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Are like, listen, if we fire Dable and Joe Shane, we're going, at least if we fire him mid-season, they might fire him at the end of the season. But if we fire him now, we're going to look just as silly as the Jets. And no one's going to want to come here for this job.
Right.
So we have to make it look like, hey, if you come to New York, you coach the Giants, we're going to have your back. We sign you for 5 years, you're going to be here at least 4. I think they want to set an example that, hey, let Brian Dable get his quarterback right then. I think he went to them and said, well, I can win. It's like, you ever tell the boss what he wants to hear?
Oh, yeah.
And then your ego plays into it. Yeah, I can fix him. I think Brian Dable said, I could fix. I got Josh Allen to play football.
Yeah.
I can fix Daniel Jones. You just wait. You pay him. Don't worry.
It was
so
Danny
they paid him.
Dimes when he was in
Because he had
Duke.
Yeah, at Duke, right? I mean, that's like okay. That's like being at St. Bonaventure for basketball. They're good. Duke and football is like what Bonaventure is to basketball. They're nice,
Yeah.
but they're not Duke of basketball.
All right.
And yeah, I mean, I think that they want the Maras want to give these guys one more shot, one more year. Hey, you get your quarterback because you're going to be picking early.
Yeah.
You get your quarterback right, okay. Then we'll
see what happens.
because they don't want to become the Jets.
Yeah.
They don't want to become a revolving door or a punchline in New York. And right now, the Jets have clinched that.
Oh boy,
They
have
are the punchline.
Have they ever? Speaking of sports and stuff, basketball tryouts are this week, and
For Jameson?
yeah, boy, is he like it's all consuming to him. Like he's so nervous, and he's going to me. Not ready. I'm not in basketball shape. I'm not doing. And I said, well, you went to the workouts. You did this. Yeah, but I haven't. What if I don't make it? You're going to be disappointed in me. And I said, no. So then he says to me today, he's like, I don't even want to do it. I'm going to do it. But I said, well, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Don't be passive aggressive, Dad. And I'm like, that's not passive aggressive. It has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
I just know you love this game. You enjoyed playing it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to play for these guys. You've got a coach at your school who runs the program that is works with NBA guys and is a junior Olympic coach and has done the under 18 teams and all this other stuff and knows the best of the best. Why wouldn't you want to just at least give it a shot? And I said to him, look, just your size alone, there are guys bigger than me. I go, yeah, but you're also big. Like you're not a tall, skinny guy.
Right.
You're a tall, big guy. And he's like, I don't know. So the tryouts are tomorrow. Well, everything nowadays is online to sign up. I didn't realize that. And the day that they had a meeting after school, if you were interested in basketball, I took him out early for an appointment he had. And he goes, I missed the meeting. I go, well, find out what happened. Find out what went on. It's no big deal. Tryouts are December 2nd. Well, begin December 2nd. Well, you have to sign up online prior. And it closed. So I'm looking and I find it. It closed November 21st. So now I'm like the shitty parent begging to like sending emails going, hey,
hi.
Yeah, I know. And I go,
so with a bottle of Cavassier as a gift.
And he's going, and I swear to God, I feel like, and I may be wrong, in some way, he just wants, he has no confidence in himself. It's new kids. It's kids that he doesn't really hang out with that are on the basketball team. He feels like those kids don't like him. He pretty much said it. And I'm like, I think that's all in your head. You'll be fine. And I don't know how to, because he talks about it as though it's a punishment. Oh, I'm going to do it. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. And I'm like, I think you really do want to. I think that if you make the team, it'll be the greatest thing. If you don't make the team, it's going to be disappointing, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But I'm not, it's going to be disappointing for you.
You're the one who's going to have to live with the regret.
I get to stay home on a Friday night and not go to a basketball
You got to convince me. Hey, look, you're the one who's going to live with the regret if you don't try out.
Well, this is what I keep saying to him. And I
at least, so here's the thing. You try out.
Yeah.
You make the team. Great.
Right.
You don't make the team. Hey, coach, can I talk to you about why I didn't make the team? What do I need to work on?
Right.
What do I need to get better at? And then you work on those things, and next year you will make that team. By the way, it's like it's not like the old days where you can only make varsity or JV, and that was it. There was no freshman team.
Yeah, this is all freshmen.
Okay, this is all freshmen?
Yeah, this is like the modified teams.
But I mean, like, there's other teams that you can make. There's other opportunities, so you work your way up.
Yeah.
And then you give him the speech about Michael Jordan not making his varsity team when he was like 4 years old. And
well, he's all mad at me because he said, I want a plan B. And I said,
I took that personally.
I never had a plan B. He goes, yeah, well, I go, I just never had a plan B. I don't know. I didn't plan out that far ahead. I didn't go, if this doesn't work out, I'll do this. I was just like, this will work out. That's it.
Like I was a terrible athlete growing up, and my father tore his rotator cuff throwing me fly balls and trying to get me to get better. And eventually I was okay. I worked my way up to mediocre, but one thing I do regret is that I didn't work harder when I got cut from a team, that I didn't like work harder at trying to be, but I just was not that good. And that's it. And I just like went into coaching instead.
Yeah.
Because, well, Dan, you know the game really well. You're just not good at it. But I mean, I wish I had
like a cripple guy that can really coach.
Right. So like you coach first base, you can keep score. And I was trying to kill that reputation. But the point, I wish I had just like, gone out of my way to work on the things that I need to work on to make a team and talk to the coach about, instead of just saying, well, that's just me.
Yeah.
You got to be able to like figure that out. And if you don't make the team, it's not the end of the world.
It's
work on what you can work on, lift those weights, get in shape, and say, hey, next year I'm going to be on this team.
He's like, hey, can I just go to the Y every day and work on my own, and then next year I'll make the team? And I'm like, no, you're going to try out because I know you want to.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that you'll make the team.
Yeah.
I just believe in my gut you will.
I think Matt Jones has this thing called hoop strength where like he trains kids how to make basketball teams.
We will work and we'll get into that, but let's get this done.
Mm-hmm.
See where we're at, and then we'll go to like hoop strength and AAU teams, but let's do this first.
Yeah. See where you're at. Gauge you.
Yep. All right, we'll take a moment. Couple things that Thanksgiving you asked about my dad. I'll tell you that. And then how the weekend ended up. And one thing that I'll just tell you about my drive back. We'll get to all that right after this.
I only talk to God when I need a favor. And I only pray when I ain't got a prayer.
Very true, right?
Yes. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
To expect a savior. Oh, if I only talk to God when I need a favor. God, I need a favor. I know amazing grace.
I really like his voice a lot,
My wife likes him a lot.
but I always say he's like a talk with some. I don't know why I think that. I think if I, like, if he were in here, I would wind up hugging the guy by the time he left.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I think he and I, or anybody, he just has a way of connecting with people.
Yes, he does.
But I think this song is so relatable. I remember going to church as a kid and the pastor saying, "So quick to ask, so slow to thank."
Yes.
When it came to, right?
Oh,
And this
gosh.
is what that song is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is absolutely what that song's about. It's I tell people, I've learned this the last year. Like the last year, I've really been attending church. I used to just after the pandemic, I'll just watch it. Like, wait, what's the difference, right? No, I've been attending for the last year, and prayer is the battle. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
Prayer is the battle. Like there's this one minister, his name is Paul Washer, and a lot of people, because he's a Calvinist, give him some crap, but there's some stuff I agree with him on. And one of them, he goes, the Bible, there's only one hero in the story. It's Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else, like, no matter how well thought of they were, whether they were Moses or whomever, they were weak men who were delivered because they were men of prayer.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were weak men, but they knew they were weak, and they asked God for help, not just when they needed it, but all the time. So that when trouble came, they already knew what they were going to do and how to do it because they'd already been praying. It's like practice.
Yeah.
You develop that prayer muscle. So
Yeah.
develop it. You'd be amazed what can happen.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah. I hear you. I don't know. I have different thoughts, but they're
I
not,
know,
they're
I
not
know.
that far away.
I know.
They're not that far away from yours. They're not.
Prayer's the battle.
But they're
I pray
really
for
not.
you guys.
I know you do.
For this show, it takes like 15 minutes just to get through everybody and all their problems.
Yeah, all their problems. So quick to ask, so slow to thank. So my father had announced last year that he was paying for Thanksgiving dinner, and we had gone to Mirbeau in Rhinebeck.
That's
And
a
then-
big deal, man.
Yeah, and so it was we had a private room and stuff, and then he was getting kind of grumpy over
Jordan's
alcohol.
spilt liquor bill.
No, it was Jackson ordered a Manhattan, and
Because I'm moving there.
then he had another. He ordered a second one.
Then he ordered a Staten Island.
at $18 a pop. And then the wine bottles were coming, and he's going, I don't know how much the wine is because there's no prices on the menu.
Oh, yeah.
So we wind up asking, and he finds out it's $78 a bottle, and he wouldn't let it die. On Black Friday, we're walking through Rhinebeck. Oh, you want to go to the liquor store so we can find another $78 bottle of wine? What do you want to do? So
This is a walking sitcom.
this year, we wind up going to a different restaurant. It is not Mirbeau. It is called.
Mirfo.
It's got a cheesy name. At least my brother and I thought it was a cheesy name, but it had a very nice interior. And in the summer, I would think it's a really great spot. It's called Shadows on the Hudson.
Okay.
So it's right on the Hudson.
That's not cheesy.
Shadows.
If you said Cracker
yeah.
Barrel, maybe.
But there's a line. There's people waiting. We had reservations. Obviously, everybody did, but they, turning the tables over and stuff. And so it's a little more of a crowded restaurant. And my first thing is to kind of turn my nose up at it because I'm a fucking snob. I will admit.
Shadows on the Lake.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right.
Sounds like an 80s rock album.
So I, again, wind up sitting near my dad. And it's coming around for wine. And my father, so I have this big thing. My father is referring to as the Bible that has every bottle of wine. And they have, I'll always say it wrong, a sommelier will
Okay.
come over to the table. So he's got me paranoid because even before going, he walks up to me and Jackson and he goes, no more. no more 18 bottle because he's going to pay again. No more $18 drinks and blah, blah, blah. And Jackson says to him, keep it up. And I'm going to order a Macallan 12-year. And I don't even like scotch. And I go, Jackson, you can't. He doesn't respond. Don't
Don't one up your grandfather.
Don't joke with
You
him.
lay.
So
That's something Tommy would drink. Adam McCallum.
Yeah.
Well, bro, I brought it to Robert Zone's house. It's excellent.
so
I was the life of the party.
So I said, so we get there, and now we wind up sitting down, and everybody's kind of going around what they're going to get. Jackson orders a Guinness. Then there's wine. Should we get it by the glass? So he's like, so I get the big thing out, and the bottles are running like 120, but there's $45 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Pinot Noir, $45, probably retails for 18,
Yeah.
and they're going to charge you 45
Of course.
on the cheaper end of the list. So my father's like, go off the menu. Put down the Bible. I don't trust you with that Bible. I'm going, holy shit. So I'm closer to him. It's me, Jameson, my dad, Jackson. Then it's my mom sitting across from me. It's Jordan to my left, but he's preoccupied with his girlfriend, and she's, he's trying to make sure everybody's interacting. And she was lovely. She fit in great. So I'm sitting there, and I'm paying attention to my father, and sometimes I just start laughing when I look at him. He goes, whoa, what's so funny? I go, what's so funny? I go, it's you. I go, you make this thing like you're the thousandaire. You're going to pay for everybody. Whoa. I mean, this is my father my whole life. My whole life, he would say things like, hey, sky's the limit, kids. And my brother decides to set the world record for the most Cokes drank. And my father goes, whoa, who ordered all these Cokes? You said sky's the limit. You know what I'm saying? Like, or my wallet's so full it's burping.
What do you
need?
favorite.
And then it would go from that to absolute devastation. There would be no money whatsoever. So, and it's nice that he's taking everybody out. There's 17 people, right? Or something like that. So,
Chris in the non-smoking section.
so now he's going, order off the menu, just the regular menu. Put that Bible away. You're scaring me. So I start laughing, and my mother says, well, it's going to get more expensive by the glass.
Right.
I said, because the bottle is $45, but you'll run into that after 3 glasses of wine, and how many people want one? So, all right, I don't care. Whatever you want to do, what I want to do. And then without me knowing, my brother, who wore bought these jackets for he and his son that were unique for Thanksgiving, like
okay.
Cute.
Did they have tails on them?
No.
Okay.
They just look like the blackboards you would scratch and different colors come through. And they had like different designs on it. It was cute. So he talks to the waitress and has started a separate bill for booze.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of this. So I order a bottle of wine. The sommelier comes over. He does the whole presentation. He's talking.
Would you like to smell the cap?
Yeah. And it's a twist off, by the way, which is still a good wine.
Yeah.
Don't turn your nose up at a twist off.
It's like a 3-button suit, Billy.
It is. So, and this was a decent, again, I think if you were to buy it, it was $18 in a liquor store, 45 at the restaurant. Oh, okay.
Why pay more?
Lower end of their menu. So we have that. We end up getting 3 bottles. But as I said to my father, well, it's not $78 like last year. You got 2. So then all of a sudden at the end, everybody is ordering espresso martinis. And poor Jackson is diagonally across from me. And he goes, oh, I want that. And I go, no. Because I don't know what's happening. I don't realize that my brother has set up a separate bill that's just for liquor, and that he and my sister were going to split. They didn't even consult. Like, they're across from each other, but I can't figure it out. So Kevin every once in a while is catching me, and I'm getting earfuls from my dad. So Jackson even wanted wine. I go, no, you have a Guinness in front of you. You stick with the Guinness. Fine. This goes on. Now my father sees the martinis. He's going, and he says to me, this is emotional torture. And I'm like laughing a little bit because I'm uncomfortable, and he's getting pissed. And I'm like, you just want to enjoy the meal and enjoy the company, but you're sort of on pins and needles, and you feel like a little kid again, that you're going to get in trouble if you do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you're fucking 53. So I'm listening to him, and he goes, "Ugh, this is emotional torture. That's what you guys do. You think it's funny, but it's emotional torture." And I'm going, no one's trying to fucking torture. God damn. So the drinks come. Then I find out, and Kevin's like, with the espresso martinis, Kevin's like, no, because I started a separate bill. The bills come. We drank almost $400 worth of booze with everybody, and it was $600 and something for the food. So my father finds out that there's whoa. I said I'm paying all of it, bring it all of it. Blah, blah, blah.
It's an episode of The Price is Right.
Yeah,
Comes
so
out.
I'm like, so Kevin's like, no, Kate and I are going to split this. I go, why did you ask me? He goes, don't even worry about it. He goes, you hardly drank. You didn't. And I'm like, yeah, but my kids. And he goes, well, who's Jackson Jordan? He goes, don't worry about it. So my father insists. I said I'm paying for all of it. I'm paying for all of it. So he's doing all this stuff. Everything comes back. He goes, oh, this is $700 cheaper than last year, or $800 cheaper than last year. And I'm like, who's getting emotionally tortured here?
Right.
Me.
Yes.
Because I'm the one who has to sit next to you, and I'm the oldest, and I'm getting it in my ear about and it's my kid who drank the $18 martini last year and then ordered another one, and how rude that was. And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm fucking, it was driving me nuts. But it was delightful.
Yeah.
I mean, in its own way, it was delightful because there was something very entertaining going on. This in the summertime, they have a beautiful deck and it overlooks, and you got the Catskill Mountains and the Berkshires, and it's all along the Hudson, and it's beautiful. You're right there. And the bridge, the Mid-Hudson Bridge is all lit up. And we had
Billy Joel playing in the background.
Yeah, and we had gone.
I'm in a New York state of mind.
So we're watching all this stuff. And there's this lady, and she's from Russia, and she was smoking, and she lights up a cigarette in the fucking restaurant. she lights it up.
Anybody stop
She's
her?
old, and she's like, oh yeah, they descend, and then so now they can't stop her because they tell her to put it out. She gets up from her table again. She lights up another one. They're going, whoa. So finally, they allow her to go outside. So two of my guys wanted to see the bridge and everything and see this deck and patio, and it's really looks like in the summer that this Shadows place looks great. So she's out there smoking, but she gets up 4 or 5. She's in and out of that thing. They're apologizing to patrons who are sitting near the door in this other dining area. She's smoking. She's walking through. I go, it was entertaining. So that took some of the pressure off the other shit, but goddamn emotional torture. And I'm like, yeah, I love the guy, but man, it's like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh yeah. Wow. Like your father and my father are like way different. My father used to say, if you have to ask for the price, you can't afford
This is what my father said the same
But
thing.
my father would never renege on that.
No.
He thrived on paying for everything.
Yes, and so does my dad secretly. But then he doesn't want to. But then he finds it rude when at $18 a Manhattan, but we don't know the price of the Manhattan until the bill comes.
Right.
That you're ordering a second one.
Market,
Who needed a second?
Market price, right? Market price today.
I don't know.
I'll have 2.
Let me ask you one other thing. I told you about.
Reminds me of my family on Thanksgiving. So so I bought everybody breakfast the next day.
Okay.
So I've worked as a waiter.
Yeah.
So we had like my family's not good at organization. My wife is the queen of organization. So you see 2 trains heading at the same time. They're going to hit each other at some point. It was my niece's birthday on Wednesday. So they throw a party for her. And my sister-in-law goes, hey, Beth, you might help me out. Putting this together with Dan and Joel's mom. And my wife's like, sure. But like she's trying to like organize it and get it going, right? Well, eventually they pulled it off. Thursday we had Thanksgiving, of course. It went well. We did well. So we show up at the house thinking that everything at my brother's house are going to go over to my mother's, thinking everything's already ready, and then we just got to like leave the car on, go grab the desserts, and go. Oh no, they're not even dressed yet. So all right, let's park the car. Let's hang out for a while. So 2 hours later, okay, everybody's ready to go. Great, we go over, but everything went off without a hitch. So Friday, we're heading back. I decide, hey, let's all get breakfast together. We're going to Denny's. I'm making a decision, 10 o'clock Wendy, or 10 o'clock Denny's on Friday. We all meet up at Denny's. Okay. We go there. Except there's only one waitress you see. Denny's is still one of those places where you only see one waitress. Nowadays, you see more than one person.
Yeah.
Denny's is still old school, where you only see one one waitress.
Oh, I got you. Right.
Okay. So they don't have people helping out with the
Yeah.
food. It's like she's got to make several trips, and you got like 15 people there.
Yeah.
The first person she asked to order is my sister-in-law. And she makes a special order. Okay, so for this Grand Slam for a kid, can I get one chicken finger and then 2 pancakes to go with this? And I go, we just used up all our goodwill with the waitress on the first order. No special orders, guys. We can't do it. They'll screw it up. I guarantee it. To their credit, they pull it off. But it's like you ever sit there like so. But you ever like? But my sister-in-law kept demanding more and more stuff, and she doesn't realize that she's coming off kind of snooty. She's not intending to be at all. She's just like, oh, can we have more napkins? Not please. My brother goes, can you say please, please? Hey, can we have more water? Like, it's always when the waitress's back is turned and heading the other direction. Oh, and more coffee, please. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the tip. I'm gonna have to. I can feel the tip going up higher and higher and higher and higher and higher every time my sister-in-law made a comment
Fancy
to the
pants
waitress.
Danny's got to
So
say
I'm like,
he's
nope,
got it.
suck it up.
Yep.
Suck it up,
Suck it
Dad.
up. You don't
So-
want to be that guy.
So we took care of it. It was all good. It felt good to do it. But my brother, you sure? You sure? I'm like, I got it. Don't worry about my wife. Like, I know. It's okay. I got it. Don't worry. Don't worry. But like when you do that with a table of 15 people, when you ask for special orders like
Yes,
that,
Yes.
you're guaranteed to have something screw up. And
Yeah.
eventually the waitress is just going to give up on you.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's not use all our goodwill on the first order.
We always end up at Pete's Famous in Rhinebeck. And if you have Disney Plus, you'll see Pete's Famous ads there because they interviewed a family that went to Disney about their trip at Pete's Famous in Rhinebeck.
Oh, okay.
And it runs on Disney Plus because my niece and nephew in Virginia see it. And I don't have Disney Plus, but so it's kind of a known place. And we do the same thing. We wound up, all of us, like usually Grandpa foots the bill for that. Not this year. We were all like, my sister and I split our table. My brother probably, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was all fine. But on the way back, I talked to you about the Red Bull and the Coke and all that stuff. Danny, I don't know what happened with the coffee and everything. Jameson wanted to stop at Target because my father gave all the grandkids $50 gift cards to Target.
For Christmas or just for?
Well, for them to do shopping and to learn to budget a little bit.
Okay.
Right? Jameson.
With free money.
Well, budget, hey, I'm
But
gonna buy
that is cool.
my mom
Yeah.
and dad this, I'll buy this. It helps you do your shopping.
Yeah.
And and I think, and then hands us all money and goes, I'm not going to any stores. This is for Christmas. You do it. Put my name on it. You know?
Right.
All right. So, but I get to, so we went up at Target and I go, Jameson, I have to go to the bathroom. And I go, and I got to go to the bathroom. So he's in there with me and I got a symphony going on in this bathroom. Okay? And I finish up and he goes, he's like peeking through the crack in the stall.
That's a little weird.
To make fun of me.
Yeah.
He's making
Okay.
you still in there? You're still in. So now I get out and he goes, I had flushed and he goes over and he goes really loud as just somebody walks in, but he just thinks it's he and somebody's walking in. He goes, Dad, what'd you do? Dump a jar of peanut butter in this? I go, holy Christ.
Hey, aren't you Bill Moran?
I go, oh my God. I'm like, I don't like going number 2 in a public place, right? Especially, but
See, I thrive on it.
this was like, I was pushed to the limit, man. It was a 4-hour plus car ride. I had no
Make it
choice.
soft serve.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I always call it the human smoothie.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's what it
You know,
was.
that Bill, it's just, yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it somewhere else. That's my philosophy. Don't do it at your toilet. Save that for Target.
Yeah, well, I hit the target.
You walk out of the bath, like what? Like one time you and I were in the bathroom with a coworker and he walks out of the stall when walking. He goes, hey, you might want to just close your nose. And you told him it's a bathroom. What do we expect?
Right.
But we all think that our crap doesn't stink. It does,
Yeah.
but it's okay when it's just us.
Yeah.
When it's, I don't want somebody thinking that I smell like that. Well, what do you think everybody else does?
My favorite is when somebody's like, I know they're in mid dump. Well, this is something I used to do. Is if I know they're in mid dump and they're in the back, and you can see them through the stall scrolling their phone or turn the light off and leave. then you'd always hear, God damn it! The childish antics, Danny, the childish antics. But I'm thankful
Yes.
for Dan Barillo.
Grateful for you guys, too.
I'm thankful for Kevin and Danny, who've been here since the beginning. And I expressed that to each of you. I even expressed that at the beginning of another podcast when you both weren't here for it.
That's awesome.
Talking behind
Thank
your back.
I appreciate
Talking behind
that.
your back. But and I'm very thankful to you, and thank you for listening. And feel free to call that line anytime. The number's right on the bottom of the screen if you're watching, or any of the videos you see on social media, 585-206-8866. And you can also send us messages on social media, Billified on Facebook, and Bill Moran on Facebook as well. Just hit it all, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make it interactive as we head into 2025. Danny, to you and Boo,
Yeah, thank you.
happy Thanksgiving season.
You too. Christmas is here.
That's right. Christmas is here. I got to decorate. And go Buffalo Bills.
Go Bills.
That's right. Sunday night game. That's where we're sneaking this podcast in early. I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you tomorrow.
From Mississippi like an oil stick fire.